Welcome back to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. Today's episode is a special one as the Wendy's PR nightmare has inspired us to talk about brand management and what may threaten your success. So we asked an expert to help us unpack all the noise. He is a force behind transforming the marketing strategies of hundreds of companies, focusing sharply on driving real results. Please welcome author, speaker, and CEO of America's Best Restaurants, Mr. Matt Plapp. Matt, welcome back to the show, man. How are you doing today?
Well, man, I need to get you to introduce me when I come home every night, like the force behind restaurant marketing, an expert. Now, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate your kind words, and I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to unpacking all of this. A couple of weeks removed and the dust sort of settling. For those of you who are unaware of what happened with Wendy's, a few weeks ago, the Wendy's CEO, who was a month into the job, by the way, he was a new CEO. He was on an earnings call. And he talked about the use of dynamic pricing and investing in digital signage and digital boards. And the New York Post picked that up, and they either misconstrued or directly misquoted the CEO and ran with this giant hit piece talking about Wendy's is going to introduce surge pricing. And what does surge pricing mean to the majority of us? That's like 2, 3, 4 times the regular price on menu items. So naturally, the public went bonkers, and so did the media. And Wendy's experienced this massive public backlash, media backlash. And so they were dodging bullets left, right, and center. So Matt, what was your take on that whole scenario, and how can brands like avoid that?
Yeah. To keep in mind on all types of PR is people have a very short memory and something happens tomorrow. There's been a lot of times I've seen people get involved in a situation like that where the media run with it. Because I actually saw a headline. A friend of mine was featured in the Washington Post on something about that. Well, the headline was talking about surge pricing. He's talking about dynamic pricing, which to me is he's changing his prices kind of like milk and gas changes at the grocery store. I mean, if you go to get gas tomorrow, it's not because of the price a year ago. They said, oh, we're going to charge gas. It's what they paid for gas. And I think restaurants are screwing up big time by not all doing dynamic pricing. Because if I went to a restaurant tonight and got a cheeseburger and it was $9.75, and then next week it was $9.83, and in 2 weeks it was $11.15. I mean, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And so media is going to run with what gets clicks, what gets people to pay attention, and they traditionally don't tell the truth. We all know that. But I will say this, the majority of what we do as a business, if you just forget about it and move on, it just goes away a lot of times. Like one of my clients one time said, Matt, what happens if a dog craps in front of your front door and it dries up? You know, smell it. What if you walk out 2 days later and step in it? You smell it again. And a lot of times that's what happens when you get somebody that runs with an article that's bad-mouthing your restaurant or talks about something you're doing, and you want to clap back. You want to get your point out. Sometimes when you step in shit, it smells worse the second time. And so there is some truth to letting it play out, because guess what? Tomorrow, one of our politicians is going to say something stupid and that dominates. The next day, there's going to be a car wreck in the city and it's going to cause an argument. So no matter what's happening in Facebook groups, on social media, and review sites, for the most part, it goes away. Look at Chipotle. I can count 3 to 4 times in the past 6 years, they've had a massive issue with food safety. You know, people are getting sick as can be from their lettuce. And a week later, the line's out the door. They just go on.
I think it's a short span together with the flooding of the zone, so to speak, that it just has us. It's the next thing is around the corner. It's next week and it's going to be noisy and we're going to forget about it. So going back to restaurants, what advice do you have for restaurants that are struggling with their identity, with a uniqueness? So big, and think about this, right? In terms of publicity, this is Wendy's given a massive twofold perception of leading in technology, because they were doing an earnings and technology and stuff, but at the same time they're around to gouge you. But is it always good news or bad news, good publicity?
I take most publicity is. I'll give you a story, and this is a funny one that goes back a long way. I'm a freshman in high school, so I'm 48 now. I'm coming up on 48. I don't even know how long ago freshman in high school would have been. Let's say 14. So this is 34 years ago. I'm at the newspaper stand where I rolled newspapers for the Kentucky Post. The guy walks up and says, hey, did you see your perv dad on the front of the paper? What are you talking about? Look at the front of the paper I'm rolling. My dad is on the cover of the newspaper at a lingerie show that this high-end restaurant held every Christmas. And this was in the, this would have been, let's say 1988, 89, somewhere around there. And I didn't know what the hell it was all about. So I go home that night. I'm like, hey, what's this crap you in the paper? He goes, oh yeah, that's a good article. I'm like, what's it about? It looks like it's calling you out. And he goes, Matt, anytime you get your name in the paper, as long as you didn't kill somebody or do something illegal, people remember the name, and a week later they forget what the hell it's about. And my idea was I wanted them to remember Plapp Insurance. He goes, here's the story. I go to this high-end restaurant every week. Every Christmas, they have Fredericks of Hollywood and Victoria's Secrets come in and do a big lingerie show to sell a bunch of rich old perv dudes lingerie for their wives for Christmas. And it's models. It's like a runway show. And I'm at a table, and a reporter walks up to do an article on how chauvinistic this is and outdated. And everybody at the table said, if you mention my name, I'll sue you. And 3 of the people were politicians. My dad said Plapp, P-L-A-P-P, Plapp Insurance in Erlanger. And he's like, trust me, in the next couple months, people will be walking in my place. They won't remember what they saw. They'll buy insurance. And sure enough, he said it happened, that people came in. They didn't know what the hell they remembered it for. They just saw the name Plapp Insurance somewhere, and it went on. So there is some validity to the old saying that, all PR is good PR. And I'll give you an example also with regards to identity. And it's ironic that this is happening today, because yesterday, one of our clients, Avery Ward from Little Italy Restaurante in Groveport, Ohio, not only lived up to his identity and his brand, but also clapped back pretty hard at a consumer who reviewed him in a private Facebook group and slandered him. So this past Thursday, Avery gets a message from his performance food group rep saying, hey, we're having a backlog of these tops for this container. I guess his salads go in. They're going to get there Saturday. Well, they didn't show up Saturday. Sunday, he's out of lids for his salads. Customer orders a salad, I guess, from delivery. They decide to put tinfoil on it. That's all they had. And so this person goes in the private Facebook group. And this is a restaurant operator, by the way, that I will say is one of the top I've ever met. He's taken his restaurant. It was a 30-year-old family business. He took it over like 6-7 years ago. Took it from $500,000 a year in the same spot to $3.5 million. And now he's crossing like $5 million. Does shit right. And he's also found his identity in his marketing. If you go to his Facebook page, he's got a bunch of really good content, consumer having fun, his team. So he's living with it. Well, this person makes this post in this Facebook group, and they call him out about this salad. And a bunch of consumers hype back at this person because he's loved in the community because he does a great job. Well, he pops on there and says, hey, we apologize. We ran out of lids. This is what happened. Here's my phone number. Here's the number to call. We want to take care of this. We'll make this right. We apologize. Well, the person doesn't take that. They continue to badmouth him in the post. So he has a professional video guy that does stuff for him. We helped him learn how to do all this stuff. So he gets Nathan and says, hey, let's have some fun. They get in the kitchen, and he's like, hey, we want to show you how we make our salads. And he just starts throwing shit in there, and he throws tinfoil in there. I mean, it's a funny video. But it's all having fun. At the very end, he goes, hey, and by the way, and the girl's name was like Caitlin. He's like, and by the way, Caitlin, we apologize, because he was like, I didn't want to do it this route because like it wasn't needed. But then she just kept bad mouthing. Like, oh, we said, hey, we'll fix it. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to show my personality, have some fun with it. So he made this video at the very end. He puts the Caitlin bag on the bag. Like they just throw the salad in a bag and they put the sticker on it. He's like, by the way, yes, we make mistakes like everybody else. If anybody in here wants a free salad, use the promo code Caitlin the next like 5 days for a free salad. He had 12 people, $600 in sales last night, the first night of that video with the promo code. It's gotten shared 100+ times. It went viral, and 9 out of 10 people had a blast with it, except for this Caitlin girl. So of course, Avery went to the extreme only because this lady kept pushing the nuclear button. Sometimes you do have to stand up for yourself, but make sure you do it in a manner that lives up to how you do everything else. Because if Avery would have tried to hop in there and be that comedic and never had a history of that, his fans wouldn't understood it.
Right. If it doesn't land, then it could go sideways really quick, and it could make him look to be spiteful, and then the backlash is even worse. So you're talking about a masterclass, perfect scenario, but play to your strengths, right? Like if being genuine and authentic, and you're able to get that across on camera, then go ahead and do it. But that also is a an anomaly almost, but what a fantastic example of handling bad press.
Well, I think it has also to do with the fact that he's built a community, and I think that also helps to, it's like when you have, like, how do you if you are able to describe yourself, the more friends you have, somehow it's easier because it's like, oh, everybody knows me for this, or everybody, right? So going back to the unique identity, what do we do with friends?
Hold on. The naked identity. Is that what you said?
Unique, no. Unique.
I'm not getting naked. I'm not getting naked. This is
your identity. Then
Hey, I have an accent.
He's faking it. He's actually from Kentucky. We went to high school.
Yo.
Yeah, you got to have your identity, and you've got to stick to it. And a lot of times, people let others get them off their game. I had a video that went viral on Instagram. It's up to like, I don't know, 5 million views now, Peter. 6.3 million views. And I said the F-bomb in it. And I said it because Peter, my videographer, who's over here filming me while you guys are filming this podcast, came up to me and said, hey, when you deliver this line from stage, I want you to drop the F-bomb and say it in this manner because it's going to trigger people online. And so I did. And it was funny. It's also my personality. When I go on stage, I don't cuss a lot, but I sometimes get on a roll. And I remember back in around 2017, my business coach, guy named Billy Jean Shaw back then, we were having a conversation about your brand and your identity and who you are. And he said, Matt, one thing I don't like about you is who you are in person isn't who you're online. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, in person, you've got a sweatshirt on, Air Jordan jeans, and you're freewheeling and having fun and dropping these nuts jokes. Online, you're very buttoned up. You have a collared shirt on. You have leather shoes. You have pants. Like when you're on stage, you're different than when you are in person. What are you going to do if a Southern Baptist preacher who happens to own a restaurant becomes your client? And he sees your true identity 2 or 3 months down the road, and now you've got a problem. You need to be who you are online, in person, in business, everywhere. And I took that to heart and started doing that. And so when I speak, I have people that say, oh, I would never do business with you. You said the F-bomb from stage. I'm like, great. I've eliminated you. Thank you. Because I'm going to say it other times. I'm going to say all sorts of other stupid shit as well. But you just got to work through the good stuff to get to it.
Matt, switching gears a little bit here. Can you talk about how critical it is for restaurants to stay attuned to these market trends and what are the risks of failing to adapt?
There's a couple things. Number one, if you're not consistently studying what's happening today, you're going to be so far behind. There's a lot of restaurants that use Facebook like they're placing a Yellow Pages ad. And the Yellow Pages is a long time ago, but they're using it like it's the Yellow Pages, like it's direct mail. They've not figured out why people are on Facebook. They're not on there to look at your lame ass picture and your coupon. They're on there to have conversations, on there to have fun. If you're not keeping up with the trends, you might not know that. And that's what happens a lot is a lot of business owners, and this isn't just restaurant owners, running a business is tough. It is tough to, on a consistent basis, make sure you have the money to pay the bills. You got your product in the restaurant. You got all these things happening. Oh, and now you got to lift yourself above it and pay attention to what's going on, how to get better at email. Oh, what's this new social media platform? Oh, how could I, get a text platform that works? So if you're not on top of trends, you're going to get behind. But also with regards to trends that run in your restaurant, you've got to be paying attention. I'll never forget when the pandemic hit. For, 6 to 12 months before that, I was on one of my friends' restaurants to get online ordering. I'll get to it eventually. I'm like, dude, people are ordering food on websites. I want to be able to order from your restaurant on the way home, stop by and get it. Why am I still calling a number, screaming over the phone at a lady, giving her my order, getting there, and it's freaking wrong? Why don't you let me order it online and let me order it wrong versus you guys take it wrong? Well, guess what? The pandemic hits. He calls me and says, shit, I need online order. I'm like, oh, now you need it. And so you've got to be looking at that and staying ahead. And there's so many examples of it out there. Apparently there's, a trend of restaurants. I'm seeing it in the Floridas and Californias more than I am Kentucky, of restaurants charging their customers for the credit card processing. And you could be on either side of the ball. It's just like if you're ordering directly from the restaurant and the cheeseburger and pizza and wings is $30 and you go to pizza and it's $40, they're marking their price up to account for the service of Uber Eats. Well, there's a lot of restaurants marking their prices up or passing the fee on from the credit card. Well, if you don't realize that that's coming and that it's an opportunity for you to maybe take advantage of it because you're in that market where everybody else is doing it, or maybe you're in a market where nobody's doing it and you want to make sure that, I want to be the first one of my toe in the water. I've never seen it in Northern Kentucky, but my buddy that lives in Florida says it every day. Every restaurant passes on the credit card fee. If you're not on top of these trends, if you're not paying attention to what's out there, then you're going to miss out. And that's where it also comes into doing two things. Number one, networking with people in the industry. And number two, going to events. Last week, I was in Miami, Florida with about 400 other marketing companies. And one of the guys on stage dropped this, we call it a ninja hack on stage, drop this tip on how to use Google My Business profiles and geo-targeting that nobody in the crowd had ever. Like, you could see everybody in the crowd like frantically taking notes. And these are people that are at the highest level. And he won this giant medal sword they give out. If you don't go to that event, you don't hear that hack. If you don't hear that hack, you might be a year or two behind. Like next week, I'm at Pizza Expo in Las Vegas. If you're a pizza restaurant that's not going to a show like that to talk to vendors, to talk to other restaurant owners, to talk to technology companies, to find out what's coming, then you're going to be on the wrong side of that shift.
I think that now more than ever, staying on top of those trends is absolutely critical because of this tech revolution that's happening within the industry, and things are changing so quickly. You know, restaurant operators need to stay on top of these trends. Otherwise, they're going to be left in the dust.
I think that the biggest lesson from the pandemic, rather than, oh, I got online ordering now, is actually pay attention to technology because it's just speeding up, right? What about in terms of staying ahead, in terms of marketing and brand positioning?
Yeah, being a leader in something, being ahead of the curve. Yeah, I mean, that's, you can never go wrong there. And it kind of cracks me up now. Facebook Live. Every day, somebody from my team, we're pushing 60 people on our team now. And every day I'll hear one of them say, hey, I just got off a call at XYZ restaurant. They did their first Facebook Live. They got 2,500 views. They got 100 comments. They were blown away. And I'm like, it's funny. Facebook Live was a thing 10 years ago, but guess people still haven't adapted it. And so imagine if you were that restaurant that 10 years ago was on Facebook Live every week, every day, the momentum you would have built up to right now. Doesn't mean to not do it because it's old. You know, Facebook Live, yes, it's been around forever. Nobody's doing it. You know, there's so many things you can be doing, whether it's using technology like that or it's using things that are hip and trendy. I'm not a hip and trendy guy, but I pay attention a little to what's going on. You know, back during the playoffs and the Super Bowl, one of the things I said when this whole, what's her name? My mind going blank
Taylor
here.
Swift.
Taylor Swift. I told my team, I'm like, hey, instead of us doing marketing with our clients saying who's going to win the big game this week, guess the score, do a campaign that says, how many times are we stuck seeing Taylor this Sunday? Now, if you're a restaurant owner that, like, I don't follow the NFL. I don't go to NFL games. I don't watch the NFL. I rarely know what the hell's going on, but I knew that was going on. And so if you can be ahead of little trends like that, then you can have some fun with it. And that's where we all see that. Like I see a post every week. I'm like, oh, that would have been a great idea because what didn't know? Like Girl Scout cookies came out a couple weeks ago. One of the first podcasts I did was, hey, go out, partner with the Girl Scout cookies, the local Girl Scout troop, get on Facebook, do a post. Girl Scout cookies are out. Get ready to get hit at every grocery store you go to. By the way, what's your favorite one? Drop below. We're going to give 10 boxes of free whatever to you. So those are little micro trends that are happening every year. But then there's also the trends in technology. I mean, there's so many opportunities. I was just up at a call center about 2 months ago. Arrow Point of Sale is a partner of ours. We purchased a company called Repeat Returns, which is a restaurant marketing platform. And we bought the software company, and I was up with them in Indiana. They also have a company called Call Force One, which is a call center for restaurants. So instead of like the pizza place I go to, Strong's, if I order pizza this Friday, which I probably will, I'll place an order over the phone. I'll be rushed. It'll sometimes be wrong. They won't get any of my contact information. They won't upsell me nothing. Whereas if they would have had the product Call Force One, and by the way, I get no money from this. This is a cool product. That if they were using that company and I called up and they said, okay, Matt, real quick, let's get your name and phone number real quick. Okay, great. Hey, do you want a free offer for your next visit? Give me your email address. Cool. Hey, you can also upgrade and add this to that and add wings for $5 more. Now I just eliminated a person answering a phone poorly. Like the lady answered the phone the other day, answered it, hold on a second, put it on the counter. She's taking care of her customer at the counter, comes back, hold on. I'm like, this is ridiculous, but that's how they do business. Yeah. So if they were keeping up with technology, they could have a company doing that for them, have their restaurant, because what's the biggest problem in restaurants now? Labor. Now they're not using a person at the register to take phone orders. They're getting upsells. They're getting customer data. They got a better product that pays for itself. But because a lot of mom and pop restaurants like that are not on the front end of technology, they don't know those opportunities exist.
It's a challenge. And I just want to say that I look for opportunities to mention Taylor Swift in each one of our podcasts. So I appreciate you giving me that opening, Matt. That was
you
really
were quick with it. You were really quick when I was like, what's
on my mind? What
Swift?
Can I say? She's on my mind. I don't know.
He shows me a chest tattoo. He's got like Taylor Swift on it.
How did you know? Matt, I saw a post recently on TikTok that you were talking about being on the wrong side of viral and just tying this all back to Wendy's and how they literally went viral for the wrong reasons. Yeah. Can you talk about from a brand perspective, what that means to go viral in the wrong direction and be on the wrong side of that?
So I'll say this, like I said earlier, I'll caution you that sometimes it's not a bad thing that everybody thinks that people remember the negative. I mean, if you look at every single political campaign ever, you go back to the best marketing ever when Trump ran for president, whether you love him or hate him, he marketed like no other. And he said so much stupid shit on a consistent basis that it was forgotten the next day. And so the same in marketing, that if you are on the wrong side, like Wendy's was here, the more you prolong it, the worse. Like Avery from Little Italy said, he's gotten called twice today. I talked to him this morning, twice today by news stations wanting to do an article on his clapback with this video. And he turned it down. He's like, it went far enough. Sometimes if you're on one of these things, know when to say when, know when to stop, but also don't be necessarily concerned with it overly, because at the end of the day, people are talking about Wendy's. And when they're talking about Wendy's, they're on their way home and their wife calls and says, hey, what's for dinner? Oh, you want Wendy's? I mean, so it's not always a bad thing. We have two brands locally in Cincinnati, Skyline Chili and Gold Star Chili. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cincinnati style chili or not, but it's an anomaly in the country. It's like chili on hot dogs and cheese. And then there's three ways where you put spaghetti, cheese, and chili. And they, back in the day, used to be like enemies. Now I think Skyline just kicks the crap out of Gold Star, so they've kind of forgotten each other. But I remember a Gold Star commercial a long time ago that was talking about Skyline and how they beat Skyline in this taste test. And I was like, oh, Skyline sounds good for dinner. And so a Gold Star commercial got me to get Skyline. So I would imagine that there's as much advantage of people ordering Wendy's this week just for the simple fact that they saw the name Wendy's in their timeline and didn't really digest the pricing aspect of it. So sometimes you got to roll with it. But then the other side of it is, if you're going to be on the wrong side of it, you either better be really prepared to come with a stance and stick with it, or you better be prepared to apologize and move on. There's so many times, like I hate it when these athletes, Tiger Woods gets caught cheating, with 15 women or whenever that was back in the day. If he would have just come out and been honest, like he comes out and he's got this whole BS. It's like, no, come on, man. Nobody's stupid here.
The truth eventually came out anyways, right?
Yeah,
just do it. Yeah. To fall on the sword. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many times where people, Bobby Knight was a great example back in the day when he was a coach in Indiana. When he did press conferences, he didn't, like, something always came up. He came right at you. Get it out of the way. Yes, we did this. Yes, we did this. See you later. Have fun. Whereas a lot of times everybody tries to hide they try to dance behind topics. So if you're on the back end of something and you want to get in front of it quick, be completely transparent, and then move on. We had a restaurant probably, when was this? About 5-6 months ago that we were contemplating filming at. We have a program where we travel the country and film at restaurants. And this was a restaurant that we had qualified that looked pretty solid. Well, then when our publicity hit that we were going to go film there, some clips came out, some voicemails came out that were racist, that this lady had left some voicemails for her, I don't know if her daughter or son's ex, and they made their way to me. And so I'm like, oh, we're not going to that restaurant. That's pretty crazy. Well, this lady had reached out and said, hey, we apologize. It came across incorrectly. What would you do if you were us? I'm like, to be quite honest with you, if I was you, like, obviously you said what you said. It's in a voicemail. Really no disputing that. If I was you, I would just go radio silent, because I don't think there's anything you can come out and say that's going to fix this. Now, I'm not a PR expert, but I don't know what you could say to basically, not, it's a voice recording. It's not like there's a gray area. You said something really stupid and it was being recorded. So if I was you, I would go silent, or maybe you come out and you be completely transparent, but man, you better be ready to open that can of worms even more, because now they're going to come after you more. So it's a catch-22 a lot of times. There's things that you can push back and there's things you can have fun with. And there's other issues where things can get real serious. And we've seen it where companies have these crazy conflicts where something stupid comes out, or a document gets leaked, or an email or a text message. That's why I tell my kids all the time, whatever you put out there is permanent. If you put it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, if you text somebody, like I've had instances where I'll call somebody because I want to have a conversation with them versus sending a text, because you never know how it can be misconstrued or used against you.
The internet is forever.
Did you know that a thumbs up over text, it's considered binding for an agreement
in a court of law?
Did you see you did a thumbs up on your screen?
I know.
Where did that come from?
There it is.
Zoom
screen's got a thumb. Like, how do I get the thumbs up on mine? I don't have it.
So I think the Zoom introducing AI. So I don't even know. I've seen that a couple of times now.
Yeah, this is the second time that it happened. I think
now you get balloons.
Got balloons
Is
on
it
the
your
screen.
birthday?
And I'm kind of scared if I turn that feature on. The stupid crap I say, who knows what will be behind me?
To poop emojis.
Yeah.
No, I don't get them. No, I'm not getting it. All right. That's fantastic, Matt. We're running out of time for the show. Matt, now's your time to plug away. Where can restaurateurs connect with you? What's your platform of choice?
Well, mattplapp.com is my website. That's my personal brand. You've got Facebook, Instagram, all those great places. But Instagram is probably the most realistic place to find me, find my team. We have short content that comes out all the time. I have a daily podcast we pump on there. Restaurant Marketing Secrets. I record every single day. It's a quick one tip, and I get a lot of positive feedback from that. But I'm an open book. If anybody needs anything, my cell phone number is in every podcast on Spotify, and it's easy to get through DMs on Instagram as well.
Fantastic. Speaking of plugs, this podcast is sponsored by Dine Pricing, real-time restaurant profitability. Dine Pricing uses artificial intelligence to improve restaurant profitability by dynamically updating menus across digital channels like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Matt, is fantastic having you back on the show. We're looking forward to having you back on again.
Yeah, good to see you, brother.
Thank you again for all of your insights on managing a brand. That's all the time we have for this week. Say goodbye, Jose.
Say goodbye, Jose.
Hey guys, thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
Thanks
good
so
one.
much, man.
Take care.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers.